This is the #1 court at London's Old Bailey. The case being tried here influenced the hanging laws of England. His name, John Christie. His address, 10 Rillington Place, London, West 11.
Breathe. No. Breathe, Muriel. No.
Take a deep breath and remember that what you see here really happened. We advise you to look at Christie closely. Very, very closely. For he lives again in the person of Richard Attenborough.
Christie. Get him here to see me. He's the only one who can help me now.
It all happened here at 10 Rillington Place. Fantastic. Incredible. But true.
Based on Ludovic Kennedy's novel and a true story, 1971's 10 Rillington Place stars John Hurt and Richard Attenborough as the leads of a terrific, involving drama that's seen its fair share of imitators, as well as a television adaptation in 2016 that secured top performances from Tim Roth and Samantha Morton in the lead roles. But here we open the original with Attenborough's Christie shrouded in mystery, gazing out of his window as a young woman arrives at his home late in the evening. Home alone, we discover that Christie tries to make the woman relaxed as he is about to perform a procedure on her. The result of this, within the opening 5 minutes, leaves the audience having already firmly established the insanity of John Christie through Attenborough's nuanced performance. From here, the character twists and turns throughout and is supremely deceitful and meticulous in his methods, making him one of the best screen villains. Based on true events, the film ultimately stands or falls on the lead performance from Richard Attenborough, and thankfully it's a masterclass in subliminal acting. We pity him and we hate him in equal measure. We know that Attenborough can play a screen villain. Check out Pinky Brown in 1947's Brighton Rock for one of his finest performances. But the way he brings such a creepy, all too relatable character as Christie to life is brilliantly realised on screen. Credit should also be given to John Hurt as the victimised Timothy Evans, about whom the second act of the story is centred. Here is a man who at first seems fairly unsympathetic, drunkenly arguing with his wife every night about their expenses and whether they can afford to have another child, until he's placed into a desperate situation from which he ultimately has no release. The audience are with this character all the way as Christie continues to manipulate Evans and tries to drive him out of his flat. For a film with little action or musical score, 10 Rillington Place is relentless from the get-go. From the moment you see Christie appearing around his living room curtain to the closing close-up of his face, a man coming to terms with the inevitable, suspense is maintained throughout and remains unbroken. Dennis N. Coop's brooding cinematography puts us deep in the heart of post-war London and feels very kitchen sink in its aesthetic. We stick with Attenborough's Christie over a period of more than 20 years as his murderous rampage only heightens over time. It's easy to see why audiences would be lukewarm to the subject matter on its original release, given the fact that it's also based on a true story, and the reviews were, by consequence, mixed. But the film has since developed a strong following and has been given a delicious high-definition transfer with an introduction by the late Attenborough himself, remarking that it's probably the greatest role he was ever given the opportunity to play.
It really was a magnificent, potentially, piece of cinema. Whatever other things it had, whatever quality, whatever importance it had, it was a piece of cinema. So whatever good reviews, I'm sure Johnny would agree with me, that Johnny Hurt and I got were in no small measure due to Dick Fleischer's skill.
I mean, you can't really argue with that. Christie just doesn't stand back. He gets his hands dirty and for the most part covers his tracks well. Both Attenborough and John Hurt have been critically praised for their work on 10 Rillington Place, and deservedly so, with Hurt earning himself a BAFTA nomination for Best Supporting Actor in 1971. Our Crawford-Clark close-up standout scene is Christie manipulating and blackmailing Tim as he returns from work and is given the terrible news. The scene is devastating and a turning point in the narrative for Hurt's Tim, as we are with the character each step of the way agonising with him at his plight and trying to help him to make the right decision. 10 Rillington Place is engaging and gripping from start to finish. There are plot holes here and there, with some characters strangely disappearing mid-film with no continuation of their characters, but the story is generally very effective. The characters are well realised, with Attenborough and Hurt giving standout, engaging performances, and Richard Fleischer's direction is fine throughout, with a careful balance of the dry humour of some of Christie's dialogue underpinning the drama that's unfolding. This is a morbid but engrossing drama bolstered by 2 knockout performances, and it still feels fresh and relevant over 40 years after its original release. Whilst not essential viewing, this is a fine example of British drama that keeps you on the edge of your seat throughout. From Crawford-Clark Close-Up, we say...
Alrighty then.
What are your thoughts on 10 Rillington Place? Is this the best performance of Richard Attenborough's career? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you like this review, please click subscribe. You can also find us by searching Crawford-Clark Close-Up on Facebook and at Crawford-Clark Close-Up on Twitter, where we'll keep you updated with links to all our reviews, old and new. You can also send us an email with your suggestions for new videos, crawfordclarkcloseup@gmail.com. We would love to hear your suggestions, so please send them in. Thanks for watching, and until next time, that's a wrap.